Hello and welcome to a new episode of Hybrid Fitness Report. My name is Jude Reynolds and there is no Paul Reynolds today. Where is my dad? Don't actually know. He's somewhere in Angola, Cambodia, Mozambique. I don't know. He's somewhere overseas and he's not available. So it's just me today, carrying the ship as usual. So what's on the cards? Today is going to be mainly an event review of Hyrox Birmingham. That was, as far as I'm aware, the first UK event of the year, but also the biggest event in history. Speaking of which, as soon as you walked in, we'll get to the whole atmosphere and everything in a second, but as soon as you walked in, I immediately going in there, I heard that it was going to be the biggest event ever, and I fully believed it. Just walking in, the venue itself, the amount of people that were in there for not a particular busy time, it was just immense. The atmosphere was immense. The crowd was immense. It was just huge. So before we get to that, I'm going to try and keep to our typical structure of which next I think would be a weekend workouts. So for me, it's been quite tapered because I was preparing for this race as my first Hyrox race of the season. I had a few threshold sessions as normal, strength sessions. I didn't have as much lower body work this week though, because that's what takes the biggest pounding obviously on race day is your lower body. So I haven't done a lot of leg work this week. Mainly focused on short, intense sessions and reducing the volume, which is just the baseline for what you should be doing when you're leading up to race week tapering. So not a lot of volume, high intensity, and working a lot on my sort of top end speed, trying to get used to Ciaran's pace. So the doubles partner that I was racing with over the weekend, instead of my threshold workouts being at 3:39, which they usually are, I did all of my paces from 3:25 to 3:30 per kilometer. So I was running quicker during my intervals. My splits on the ergs, so usually I would be pulling it around 145 per 500 on the row. I would be doing shorter intervals and quicker intervals. So instead of 145, I would be pulling 125 to 130 for anywhere from a minute to 45 seconds to a minute with short rest, recovery, and repeat. So the threshold sessions were shorter but more intense. Is basically what I'm trying to get across to you guys there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to heading back into a big block of work now because I've got a big block of time to build for Hyrox Vancouver, which is at the just before Christmas. So I've got like a month, 2 months, pretty much almost to the day, to build my volume back up, to get my sort of typical threshold paces back in. And I'm just excited to just get back into proper training. Tapering, I hate it. I really don't enjoy tapering. Just because I had time this week and not being able to train as much as I normally do really put me on edge. So I'm not someone who enjoys the deload of training. We will have an episode on tapering, I think, eventually, purely for tapering. So just for now, decreasing the volume by around 20 to 40% is typically around what I hear it at. Mine was reduced around 25%, increasing the intensity, just making sure you don't lose that sort of snap that you get, the springiness that you feel on race day. And if you do a whole week of low intensity, low volume, you'll lose that and you won't feel as poppy on race day. If you don't know what I mean by poppy, it's hard to describe, but you'll feel more lethargic. You won't feel as quick, as snappy. So definitely keep your intensity high during your taper weeks. Otherwise, you will feel the difference on race day. I promise you that. So the workout of the week for this week, I'm going to take from a race that was done in New York. So this race was a 10K running race, which turned out apparently to be around 8K. But for the purpose of this workout, it's going to be a 10K run every 400 meters, 10 burpees. Now, for those of you hey, I haven't even run 10K in my life. Fine. Scalable. Easy. Okay. I think just scale it to what you're able to do. So I think for the top end, if we can do a 10K run race, but every 400 meters, 10 burpees. And then let's say if you're sort of in the open division at Hyrox and you're quite fit, you're just not yet in the pro division, maybe scale it back to 7.5K race, but then also keep it at 10 burpees. So I think that bit's quite manageable. And then if you're sort of just starting out at Hyrox, I think do it for a 5K. So do a 5K for time, but every 400 meters, again, keep it at 10 burpees. So I'm going to say workout of the week, 10K, 7.5K, or 5K, depending on what you're comfortable with doing. Regardless of your distance, every 400 meters, hop off the treadmill or just get down on the road, 10 burpees, carry on. And it's just your cumulative time that you take to finish the run. And that's it. So I saw that the other day and I really want to try it. So I definitely think I'll give that a go this week and let you guys know how I get on with that. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to WoDLETE, who have partnered with us and made our own custom t-shirts, which I think are quite cool. So I've got that on now. Just a great brand.
And this is me, Paul Reynolds, jumping in now with something I'm recording a bit later to tell you about WoDLETE. This week's podcast, as Jude said, is sponsored by WoDLETE, founded by an Ironman athlete with a passion for functional fitness. WoDLETE clothing is designed to be with you throughout your fitness journey, from starting out to competing, from beginner to elite, and with clothing and accessories to help you on your journey. Go to wodlete.co.uk. That's WODLETE.co.uk for global shipping and free delivery on all UK orders over £50. Please use code HFRPOD20. That's HFRPOD20 for 20% off your order. And I can only apologise for the flying foxes trying to interrupt my recording. Just to say also that when Jude mentioned that I am either in Angola or Cambodia or Mozambique, he's entirely correct. I am indeed in one of those three places. I've been trying to keep up with my workouts. Here, I was trying to do some barbell work yesterday. There's one barbell here which has a lump of tree trunk for plates on either end. So I asked the guy looking after the gym, how much do the bits of tree trunk weigh? And he looked at me like I was strange and said, well, we don't know exactly. And they're probably not the same because, it's tree, which is fair enough, I suppose, but not tremendously helpful. So anyway, back to Jude for his excellent review of Hyrox Birmingham.
So Hyrox Birmingham. I think just first of all, like an overview of it, amazingly run venue. When you walk in the venue, one of the first things I noticed was that they got the Hyrox Bridge right, which is what I heard it been called, which is super good for both athletes and spectators, because what was there was you had spectators around the outside who would go over the bridge to get into like sort of the merchandise and the viewing area this way, and there were people trying to get from that area, from the merchandise and the viewing area, to get over the bridge the other way. So it was a one-way bridge on both sides, and it just worked really well. Other than that, the venue itself wasn't particularly like a Grand Palais or something that was just like, wow, when you walk in. The wow factor was more at the size of it, maybe not as big as the Warsaw Stadium, but I mean, other than that, it just felt huge when you walked in, and it really showed me as to why it makes sense you would go in on the second time, because usually now it's like in on the third and on the fourth, but this one was in on the second, meaning that the times you had to run around the track to accumulate 1,000 meters was less, meaning the circumference was bigger, obviously. So I just think, yeah, it felt huge. The nerves not got to me, but I felt them as soon as I walked in, just because, you feel like you're performing in front of a huge crowd. Obviously you're not, no one cares about you, no offense, but they don't when you're running around the track, unless you're, Jake Dearden, Elite 15, trying to qualify. Just a little piece of advice for your first time: don't worry about anyone else. They don't care. All right. So yeah, that was that. The registration, seamless. Went there, showed them my ID, scanned my QR code, gave me my timing chip, gave me my wristbands, and that was it. And the queue probably took me 10 minutes. And it wasn't at a particularly busy time. So the only thing is that if you're there at like the open waves in the morning, definitely get there, like we said in the previous episode, maybe an hour and a half, hours before. Other than that, so I guess if we get stuck into the race, so I was racing with Ciaran Parkinson, who raced in the previous Elite 15 major. He's an Elite 15 doubles athlete. So it was just sort of great to be able to link up and just learn a lot from him, but mainly experience a lot from him. He came ninth in the Elite 15 doubles, so he's, one of the best Elite 15, one of the best doubles athletes out there in Hyrox right now. So given that running is definitely my biggest weakness and it's one of his strengths, it was tough. The race as a whole was, I've said it to a few people before, the hardest race I've ever done, I think. Yeah, it was just from the push, I was genuinely in a hole, meaning feeling like I was at almost maximum output there from station 2 out of 8. So it was not looking good. But from the start, the first run, it was funny because we had talked about it before, and he's like, because Ciaran's main thing is go out hot with Tony and just try and stay hot as long as you can and just hold on and drop off as little as possible. That's what it seems like to me. That's the vibe I got talking to him about how him and Tony race. So he was like, okay, you're going to lead the first run or at least 80% of it. And then only if I feel like we're dropping back a bit too much, then I'll take over because I'm going to start the ski anyways. Because he was going to start the skier. So he's like, I'll just take over like a couple hundred meters from the entrance. He took me over within about 60 meters. Within about 60 meters, he'd had enough and he'd just gone. So I was like, okay. So I had to sort of reach my hand out and grab on for dear life. Not literally, because that's cheating. But yeah, I had to proverbially reach my hand out and just grab onto his t-shirt and hang on. So that first lap, I think it was long, so it wasn't exactly a kilometer. So we did it in like 3:54, which the pace would have been. Our average running pace, by the way, was 3:26, which I'm super happy with. Obviously, it's not exact because the runs aren't all 1,000 meters, so it's probably around that 3:30 mark. But yeah, so the first run was for him, a leisurely stroll compared to what him and Tony go off at. But for me, it was the quickest lap of Hyrox I've ever done. So going into the ski, I was already like, this is going to be tough for 8 kilometers. But what I realized and what I made myself do from the ski erg and from the sled push, because they were the first 2 stations and I got really worried at that point because of how tired I felt, was I've spoken a bit about it before, but for me, what's so important in a Hyrox, it's called chunking, that I've again briefly mentioned before, where you don't think ahead in the race. What I mean by that is in this particular circumstance, when you are extremely tired and worried about if you're even going to complete the race, let alone get the time you wanted, is just think one station at a time. So for me, I'm like, okay, all I have to do is 2 sets of 250 meters on the skier, because that's how we agreed to split it up. And it was just, okay, 2 sets of 250, you can do that. That's not that difficult. And then we'll go on a run, get the run done. Okay. And that's as far as I let myself think ahead. Because on this sled push, if I think, oh, I've got, 5 more runs, 6 more stations, or whatever it is, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's 45 minutes of zone 5 work that I'm just not going to be able to do. So in my head, every single time I was like, just get through this station, get through your reps, because remember, it's doubles. You only have to do half the work as you do on the stations and solos. So just get through your reps, rest while he's going, recuperate. You're fit enough that your heart rate can come down. Every time I found myself thinking stations ahead, I would stop myself. Literally, I would go, no, don't think about that. What do you have to do right now? Get this done because you've done this before in training. And then we'll think about that later. And I promise you, that was probably the primary thing that kept me going, was that. So coming off the ski erg, I wasn't too bad because, again, it was station 1. But I was still quite tired. Like, I was holding 132, I think, for my 2 sets of 250. So it was a decent effort for a decent amount of time. And I didn't start or finish the station. So I was okay. But then getting into sled push, obviously with push, I was doing just over half a length every time. And I'd start so that Ciaran could finish. And the sleds felt fine. But it was weird because on the sleds, I'm not going to make an excuse like it held us up much, because I went in there expecting something's going to go wrong. So just go through whatever it is. On the push, every like 3 or so meters, I'd feel a doof, 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 like a notch or a divot in the boarding underneath. So it wasn't like a crater that my sled dove into. I didn't stop at any point. I just kept going through. But I did still feel divots, and I'm wondering what that could have been. So maybe it was just some like uneven floor boarding or something, but definitely felt obvious divots in the ground on the sled push. So I was just wondering if that's something that any of you have experienced with the sleds, or if that's just me being a whiny little, So that was that. The sled push was fine, but it doesn't really give me much of a rest. That was what I found one of the hardest. Was thankfully it was only station 2. Like if that was station 6 or 7 in the middle of the race, that would have been tough. But it was maybe getting about working for 12 seconds, resting for 8. It wasn't much. So I wasn't really expecting much of a rest going into the push, because I know like I'm 98 kg, Ciaran's just under 70. So there's no way I should be making a partner who's weighing under 70 kg to the majority of the sled work. So kind of knew I had to carry my weight there and on the sled pull. So the run after the push wasn't too bad. I can get my splits up here actually. Yeah, the run after push was we were quite consistent. So our runs, just to preface, were 354 on the first, which was long. And then there was 321, 25, 24, 23, 23, 21, 20. So we kind of negative split Hyrox. I mean, that is one of the most gangster things I've ever seen, especially because my, energy levels did positive split. Okay. Which sounds good, but it's not. It doesn't feel good. Anyway. So coming off the push felt awful. I was like, this is going to be a long race. But that was when I started to start thinking ahead, was halfway through / end of push. And I was like, no, stop it. No. So I right, okay, let's get through this run. Then we're onto the pull. Pull for me isn't as tough as the push. So I was like, okay, let's get onto the pull. And what really helped me here was coming into the pull. Ciaran was like, this is it. This is your last one to sort of carry us through. And then I'm taking over on the burpees. Because what we'd agreed was we'd even split the ski. I'd do a bit more on the sleds and then he'd do more on the burpees just because that suits our strengths better. He's more aerobic. He's lighter. He's better at burpees. I'm heavier. I'm stronger. I'm a bit better on the sleds. So, it's all about knowing your partner. There's no point in splitting everything 50-50, every station 50-50. You can split the total work volume 50-50, but splitting every station 50-50, if you're looking for a seriously competitive time, there's not much sense in that. Play to your strength. So that's what we did. So I'm quite happy that the sleds, other than those small divots in the push, felt reasonably okay. So I was happy with how the pull went, to be honest. Ciaran did really well. I started, pulled just over half, he'd finish. I'd run over to the other side, pull just over half, he'd finish, etc. until we'd done that. No qualms with the pull or anything. One of my favorite stations, actually, if I pace it well, other than Chicago. Don't ask me how sleds went in Chicago. Don't even mention Chicago, actually, come to think of it. So appreciate it. Next with the burpees. Now, coming into the burpees was when I started to hear myself breathe. I'm like, oh no. I looked down at my watch and it says a number that I don't even think I could count to. So I was a bit worried getting into the burpees. Going into there, the plan was Ciaran would do 8, I do 6. He'd do 8, I do 6. He'd do 8. But he went in. I think he must have heard my breathing from the 10 meters ahead of me that he was, because he started off and did 10. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I think that was the turning point in the race, and where I was like, I think I can hold on and finish the race at this pace. So I think just huge from Ciaran, first of all, for thinking about that. Know your partner. Like if they're coming in, you can hear them breathing from 10 meters behind you. Probably, and if they're not saying anything, take a little bit extra than you planned, okay? Maybe they can make it up to you later on in the race, which I'll get to, and I hopefully think that I did. But give them a bit of reprieve. Like on the road, for example, if they're dying, do an extra 100, help them out. So that's exactly what he did. That's what you expect, quick thinking on your feet from sort of the athlete that he is. So thank you for that, Ciaran. He did 10, I did 6, he did 8, I did 6, he did 8. So the burpees, really, he carried me through. I'm going to be honest, I'll put my hands up. We did it in just under 2 minutes. I probably did 18 reps in total. So a huge thank you to Ciaran for that, because that, coming off the burpees, I wasn't fresh. Don't get me wrong. I'm never going to be fresh coming off the burpees, but I was back in the game. All right. So my head, just that little sort of door opening, just a little bit ajar, was like, you can do this. And I was like, bang, okay, ride that wave. That gained my confidence back in recovery. And I was like, okay, again, this is where it comes in on, sort of your thought process of one station at a time. Because I was like, okay, finish this run. Then I get like a minute rest while he's doing his first 250 on the row. So it's like, okay, get through this run. You can run 1,000 meters at like 3:30. Okay. That's all you've got to do there. And then you're basically done, because you can just rest. And if I can just convince myself that I'm done in like a K, I'm like, I can run a K in 3:30. That's fine. So I did that K in 3:30, got to the rower, rested, good, back in it. So from that point, I was so far in zone 5. I was in a big hole, but in a hole that I could come out of, because it took me about genuinely a minute to recover. But that was right when Ciaran finished, and he gave me an extra 40 meters on the rower. So I was like, okay, perfect. He hopped off. I got on, gave him about 520 meters. I was holding about a 134, I think, not as quickly as I would have liked. 134, 135 for my just over 500 meters. Definitely would have preferred low 130s. That's what I normally do with Michael, but I'm not quite as in the bin racing with Michael, because we're a lot more balanced in terms of our strengths. But yeah, I think the row, even though I only rested for 2 sets 250, that's a decent amount. Coming off the row, I felt okay, just in terms of okay being still, completely destroyed, but I said I can carry on. So carried on after the row, and then from there, it's the easiest station next. in my opinion. Okay, it's just a farmer's carry. Then, I'm not even thinking about lunges and wall balls yet. So going on to farmer's carry, and that we decided on doing 50 Ciaran, 100 me, 50 Ciaran, as in meters. So Ciaran went straight in, and with these ones, what I think was really good, what he decided to do was he was easily quicker than me on the runs, right? And the stations where I try to carry my weight. So he would come into the inn about 10 seconds ahead of me, right? He would then have time to go chalk up, grab the kettlebells, go to the start line, and just as he got there, I would come in. And so it worked that he could time it so that he was probably 10 to 8 seconds ahead of me coming in, do what he needed to do to set up to start the station, and then go right when I come in. So there's no time lost. So walked through the farmers, that was fine. Nothing really of note there. Got the chalk, which was good. Chalk, it's crazy how much of a difference it makes. I never train with it. So when I have that in race day, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm never letting go of these kettlebells, and I didn't, obviously, because it was 100 meters. But yeah, Ciaran started and finished with 50. I did the middle block of 100, and that seemed to work well. With farmers as well, it seems like more and more courses are starting to be 2 laps of 100 meters. Always, if you're changing, I would recommend change round the corner. So, for example, if it's 2 laps, if you did your lap, before you came back round, I would go round the corner and then change after the corner. So your partner can pick it up and just go straight. Whereas if you drop it before the corner and change there, they're going to have to slow down, turn with the kettlebells, and then go round. Just a quick tip with that one. So yeah, after the farmer's carry, the run was good. Usually in most of my Hyrox races, after the farmers, I get like a second win because it's the only station where you can like viably walk and still get a decent time. So I kind of like light jog, quick shuffled that one. And so going on to that run was the best I'd felt in about 3 stations. Again, our run times continued to drop, so something was going well. I think that was one of our 3:23, so that went well. And then coming into the lunges, I was tired again because, again, I just ran another kilometer at a pace I never, ever run. So was definitely tired, but knew this was one of my strengths, so knew this was somewhere where I had to sort of pull my finger out and do something. So did really well on this one. I think we both did. Ciaran, this is usually his like worst station by far, but I mean, he did really well here. He did. He stepped through all of them, 0 stutter steps at all. So super happy with how he performed on these. And then I took over. I did the middle 30 and last 30, I want to say. So I think I did about 60 meters of these. And this is where we kind of took first place on the day. So we took first place in the lunges and probably left 10 to 15 seconds ahead of them after coming in 10 to 15 seconds behind them, I think. So we made a huge amount of time up here, which is really good. And then I was in for the most painful run of my life, which was a 320 kilometer on lunge legs, which I've now dubbed them. So yeah, that kind of sucked bad. I was just kind of, for this one, I told him, I was like, you go, and I'll just hang on to whatever life form I have left, which at that point was not much. So I sort of hauled myself out of lunges around the track, and the people that finished like 10, 15 seconds behind us caught me up a little bit. And so that's what kind of spurred me on to, go a little bit quicker. So I sort of entered at the same time as them. Again, just showing me how much I need to work on my running, which is why I'm so happy we still managed to average this run pace, because it is just something that I've been focusing on and have got a lot better at, but still have so much farther to go with it. But anyway, came into the wall balls and I think ended up starting a rep behind these guys. Ciaran did the first 25, looked at me and said, "You ready?" And just as I'd regained, what seemed like consciousness, I said, "Ugh," and then sort of just took the ball from him and just went. The first, I remember there was I forget the name of the ginger-haired lady that is sometimes emceeing when Faisal isn't. She was asking me my name as I came in, and Ciaran was wall-balling his first 25 so she could announce us. And I heard her ask me what my name was, and I just felt myself not respond. So I completely ignored the poor woman, because to be fair to me, I had about, 0.3 milliliters of oxygen left in my lungs that I was trying to bring back in. I couldn't breathe, basically. And so I didn't speak. Sorry. Then after about 20 to 25 reps, I think it was 25, I let out a noise that apparently meant yes. And so I started taking over the wall balls. The first 20 kind of went by in like a blur. I don't remember the first 20 wall balls, to be honest. I remember the counter getting to about 60 and looking over to the two pairs next to us that came in just before us and after us, and it was rep for rep. I think I remember seeing me on 60 and them on 62, and I was like, oh crap, because I didn't think I could get to 70. I was ready to tell Ciaran, right, okay, swap. But like 5 or so reps before I was about to say that, there's a clip of us that has done quite well on the X Endurance Instagram that has him screaming at me. He is like, "We are 2 reps behind. If you drop it, if we swap, we lose." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I just kept going for like another 10. And then it's giving me like goosebumps. It was pretty cool, to be in all fairness. Like he was literally screaming, "If you drop this, if we swap, we do not win." So everything in me was just telling me to go, 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 go. And so I ended up finishing the 100. And then I think I only got one no rep, and it was the first one for depth. And so then I just brought my feet narrower and just squatted properly. And then she allowed it. But yeah, that was it. Crossed the line before them. Didn't choke on the wall balls and lose it for us on the wall balls. Silence. Okay. Moving on. If you didn't get that, you've never watched an HFR episode. It's fine. And that was the race. I don't really know if you guys wanted a full race review or if you even cared about my race, but there you have it. I mean, Hyrox Birmingham overall 52:17, 3:26 average pace, probably being at about 3:30. Worst station, I'd say, was probably the push, just because I think my body was still in shock, being like, you're not meant to be running this fast. Let's stop. Our push was in 1:45, which for doubles at the high level isn't really that good. And the best, I'd say, was arguably our burpees, which were under 2 minutes. So happy with that. But yeah, I think overall Birmingham, great event, great venue, good result. We got 5th overall, 2nd in our age group. So again, happy with that. And also the event that happened in Paris, there's an Elite 15 doubles athlete that won it with his partner. We would have beaten them. So we would have won that entire event. But because Birmingham was so big and there were so many great teams there, we ended up 5th overall, which in hindsight, considering I'm really not a doubles athlete compared to a solos athlete, I'll definitely take. And just thanks to Ciaran for being really good partner. That went really, really well. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Now I will attempt to do the League of Hybrid Fitness Sports on my own here. Tennis. We'll do tennis. All right. Problem is, he knows a bit more about tennis than I do, but I'm going to give it a go. Cardiovascular endurance tennis. Out of 100, I'm going to give it. Oh, the matches are so long. Yes, it's stop-start, but they are so long. I'm still going to give it a 30, I'm going to say. So muscular endurance, however, I'm going to give it a 90, just because it's stop-start doesn't take away from the muscular endurance side of things. And I think how long the sets can be and how much effort you have to put into each, like, for example, forehand shot, I'm going to say 90. Muscular endurance at top-end tennis is insane. I think you've got to be incredibly fit for that. Strength, don't have to be too strong. I really don't think for tennis. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not. I'm going to say 35. 35. You got to be stronger than, some curler. But, you've not got to be, Hafthor Bjornsson. Power, that's quite a good one. I'm going to say 75. You got to have great power. I think you got 70. Flexibility, again, high-end tennis. Some of them are really impressive with the freeze frames you see of them reaching for a shot. So I'm going to say 75 for flexibility. Agility, huge, 95. Balance, pretty huge. I'm going to say 75 for balance. Coordination, 90. Okay, again, big rackets, small ball. But it is going really, really quick. So come at me. I'm going to say 80. Accuracy, again, that's huge. Oh dear, this is going to be really good. Didn't even think about this. This is going to be huge. Accuracy, 95. I don't see how I'm wrong on that. Speed isn't huge because you don't have any sort of, that's more agility that you need in tennis. So you don't actually need top end speed at all because your movements are so small. So I'm going to still give it some credit, and I'm going to say 25. And there you have it. So allow me to briefly calculate what I assume will be our new leader. Again, this was all sort of first-ish number that logically popped into my head, so don't take it as gospel. So, for a new second place, we have tennis coming in at 670 points. Falling behind football. Again, I keep overestimating what these sports are getting when I go through the list, but yeah, tennis at 670 above rugby. I think because of all the sort of the minor categories, so to speak, such as accuracy, coordination, and balance. So I think that's where it got all of its credit from. Right. Quote of the week. It always seems impossible until it's done. Nelson Mandela. I'm sorry, but that's fitting. That is fitting, and I like it, and I like Nelson for that. I like what he did, and I like that quote. Okay? That's all that needs to be said. All right? That's it. So, hope you guys enjoyed this solo episode. See you next week. I've been Jude Reynolds. He's not been Paul Reynolds. See ya.